So, this might be a bit of an unorthodox intro, but it's back. So, back in this series again, eh? Yep, I know. It's finally time to talk about part 3 of my 30-day RWBY challenge. And yeah, I know, it's been well over a couple years since I talked about RWBY. Or months. I don't know. It's been a long time. But last I remember doing this, I think I remember talking about what I believe was the saddest moment in all of RWBY, at least around number 16. So for the rest of this video, we're going to be talking about numbers 17 through 30. Yes, I'm going to be finishing this whole thing in one video. So I really hope you guys are ready for it, because my opinions are probably going to be extremely wrong, but also extremely right. And some of them are going to be pretty obvious, and some of them will not be obvious. You guys probably know how this works if you've seen the last two parts, but if you do not, I recommend you go and watch the first two parts first, as horribly edited and as cringy as they could be. But for now, I'm going to be continuing on my discussion of RWBY, favorite things of RWBY, starting with number 17, my favorite RWBY character. Now, admittedly, this might seem like a very odd question, and you're probably already thinking, Richie, you've already talked about your favorite character, and it's Penny Palladina, obviously. But yes, while that may be completely obvious, I believe this question, what I believe this question is asking is who my favorite character is from Team RWBY itself. And honestly, that is a pretty limiting question, but of course, it's talking about RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang, so if I had to pick my favorite, it honestly has to be Yang. I know, it's obvious, but as Miss Spectra had once said, just because it's the obvious pick doesn't mean it's the wrong one. Yang is literally a fiery personality, and makes up her team's whole muscle. You know, basically she's the powerhouse of the team, not to mention she is one of the most evolving personal stories in the whole show, going from an overconfident big sister to a person who had so much development compared to her other teammates. Well, while RWBY was trying to figure out her goals and justifications of everything she's doing, Weiss trying to separate from her family and being more than just an heiress to the company, and Blake fighting for equality between humans and faunus, Yang simply tries to figure out how she wants to go forward in life, as well as her own emotions. She had felt like the most transformative character in the whole series. The moment she got her arm sliced off by Adam, that's when I believe she started opening her eyes to the world around her. This pushed her to even greater heights and even more difficult challenges along her journey, like finding her own mom and pretty much ridiculing her for abandoning her at a young age, being there for her little sister RWBY, as well as just being the best big sister ever, and of course her inevitable confession to someone she didn't know she loved until that very moment. So, I will not shut up about the Volume 9's biggest moment ever. We all know is the best moment in the entire show. Even to those who probably haven't even watched the show before. Back to Yang, her story was so well written, not to mention her design changing in a big way throughout the story. I'll always be super appreciative of her as a character, and as my favorite part of Team RWBY as a whole. And to be honest, I've always kind of aspired to be much more like Yang. So yeah, anyways, Yang is my favorite Team RWBY member, and I think is probably one of my top 3 favorite RWBY characters in general. No need to rank them personally, Yang, Nora, Lyren, and Penny. But anyways, moving on to my favorite Juniper character. So now we move on to Team Juniper. Now, this might be a bit of an unpopular pick for some, but when people usually say what their favorite team member of Juniper is, people usually tend to gravitate towards Kira or Jean or even Nora, but in my case, my favorite member of that team has to be Lyren. And no, it's not just because his design features my favorite color, which is green by the way, but because much like Yang, Ren has had a very big transformation throughout the series, even if it's just minor. Lyren went from a quiet, reserved person to well, still a quiet and reserved person, but from a more humble approach. His his life with Nora was probably the most excitement he gets, but even when he was part of a Team Ranger, that's Ruby, Nora, Jean, and himself, all the way to Volume 8, when he when he helped evacuate the city, Ren's ability to see other people's emotions is something that I've always admired, all the way to his stoic personality, which simply shines through more as he's helping out his friends. And it's not only because of that. He has one of the most tragic backstories, being tied to Nora because of losing losing his father to a certain Grimm wasn't enough, then surely nearly losing Nora throughout the entire series probably would have pushed him over the edge, and it probably would have pushed me over the edge too if I was Ren as well. And and he has also had one of the most well-deserved character arcs in the entire series. He is a man of simple needs and complex goals, to the point where even I have trouble figuring out what's going on through those. Wait, what color was his eyes again? I'm pretty sure his eyes were pink, unless that was just a shade part of his hair, which I am getting way off track. But basically, Ren is my favorite member of Team Juniper, and while I really do like him aesthetically and from his character design point, I also really love how he grew to me as a character. He just simply shows that one. Well, he simply shows to me that even if you have had the whole world against you and your best friend, you could still come out on top, even if it's just helping out in minor ways, like I don't know, say hiding an entire group of people's aura from giant Grimm. Yeah, that seems to be one of the things he's good at. And speaking of his semblance again allows him to see other people's emotions, and those emotions get conveyed to him in the form of different like flower petals in front of the person in question. He can tell whether someone's feeling angry, upset, or even has a mix of emotions. And not only that, he's always been pretty much the anchor for any team that he's on, even if it's just with his friends. And his genuine concern for Nora really shines through, especially during volumes 5 through 7, when Nora is put out of commission by absorbing too much electricity. And even so, and not to mention the weapon he uses in combat, and even when he's trying to traverse through the entire city. Ren is probably by far one of the most amazing characters that I've seen being well written and also promptly ignored by most people. And I'm willing to bet that some people are fans of Ren, they just don't really express it as much because, well, even though he's a major character, he's also mostly seen as a minor character. But to Ren's credit, he is by far very well written, and in a similar case to Yang, but from a different perspective of someone who's more quiet and reserved. He's kind of like a second Blake if you want to think about it. So, character I most relate to. That's honestly, that question is probably the easiest one I've ever had to answer. I mean, do I need to explain it? If you've been a fan of mine for a while, well, first of all, thank you, but if I'm gonna be completely honest, the most relatable one also happens to be my favorite.
Salutations!
Yeah, Penny is by far the most relatable character out of all the cast. I've already explained some of my reasoning in part 1 as to why she's my favorite character, but why do I think she is the most relatable to me? Well, it's because, to me, just like me, she's extremely kind, cheerful, and overall a great friend, as shown multiple times throughout the series. She even understands the concept of sacrifice, as shown in Volume 8, and will literally do anything to protect her friends. Her role in the series was possibly the most major change in any character ever. And I know I said basically the same thing for Lai Ren and Yang, but Penny's sort of a special case. She is the biggest change out of everyone, as all the way from Volume 1, she is seen as radically different from the rest of the cast, mostly due to her being a robot. But even then, she is the most humanizing take of a robot character I have ever seen. And who knows, maybe they'll somehow bring her back in Volume 10. And I know it's wishful thinking, but a guy can hope, right? So, my favorite outfit. Well, picking a favorite outfit is probably one of the tougher choices for me. I always thought every character's outfit is a great fit for them, with so many of them to choose from. You got Yang's Volume 1 outfit, Neo's Volume 7 through 9 outfit, all of Emerald's outfits, to even the outfits from Amity Arena. Yes, the one game that barely anybody talks about anymore. This is probably by far one of the hardest questions to ask myself. However, I somehow came to a conclusion. And my pick for my favorite outfit is definitely Weiss's dream outfit from RWBY Ice Queendom. You all probably forgot that Ice Queendom was a thing, didn't you? So, why do I like this outfit so much exactly? Well, from the way it's designed to how Weiss carries herself in the outfit, I feel like it could be an absolute extension of Weiss's character. Yeah, that is indeed the whole point of Ice Queendom as a series, to expand on Weiss, but what says more about a character than the clothing they wear? Why? I mean, maybe their personality, the weapon they use, I don't know, maybe the way their voice acted. All very valid points, but Weiss's Ice Queendom clothing shows off how strict that her family can be, and how she feels really rather oppressed by her own father, or as the show likes to say, Big Nicholas. Seriously, I don't know why they say it like that. It also shows Weiss being a bit more of an authoritative figure, making her possibly a more complex character by nature. With everything we see from the series itself, the clothing designs were by far the most sophisticated looking ones that I've seen. Ruby's outfit gives off a bit of a Sonic Adventure 2 vibe, Blake has a freedom fighter feel, and Yang gives off the impression of a young adventurer. Weiss's outfit epitomizes the feel of the reality of most situations and how things should be dealt with. But the black and white coloring completely complements each other in a way that can make Venom feel jealous. And the more I look at Weiss's outfit, the more I understand that she seems to feel like she's inferior to other people and feels like that she should be the leader of Team RWBY instead of, well, RWBY. But we do get to look more introspectively at Weiss as a character during the entire series, and this outfit that she wears pretty much symbolizes all her struggles. She has a very strict father, a mother that can't really deal with anything but in any other way besides drinking, an annoying brother, and the only person that she finds comfort in is Klein. Yeah, her little butler friend from the main series is a major role in her dreams. But I'm getting a bit too far off topic. Maybe I'll talk about Ice Queendom another day. But for now, Weiss's outfit from the Dream Realm in Ice Queendom is my favorite. But then we have to go and talk about Okay, so I may have lied earlier. This is the toughest choice I had to make. Honestly, not a single one of the RWBY outfits I could ever consider bad or just terrible at all. I don't really, in fact, I could probably even say I don't even have a least favorite outfit. I mean, going through the entirety of RWBY outfits from volumes 1 through 9 is just, it's honestly a lot of work, and I was not expecting to find out that I love absolutely all of them because they all work for the characters that they were meant for. However, I guess if I have to choose one character whose outfit really bugs me, then that would mean I'd probably have to take some desperate measures. And going through every bit of RWBY outfits I can find, I'm guessing there is only one outfit that I don't really like.
Blake? What? Ears?
Yeah, I bet you guys probably forgot that this happened too. So, if we're gonna be talking about my least favorite outfit, it's very obscure. It's Blake's outfit from Huntsman and Superheroes, Part 2 specifically. And I don't know what it is about Blake's design in this one. It doesn't even scream Blake. Like, if you told me that this was actually a new character in the DC universe, I'd probably believe you. But if anyone told me back then that this would be Blake Belladonna in DC Superheroes, I would never have believed you at all. I would think that you were just a crazy person. And to be honest, the mask and they could have at least included her ribbon in some way, because her ribbon's supposed to hide her ears, but like how in the world would they know that she have ears at that point? I mean, sure, sure. DC Cross Ruby Superheroes and Huntsmen technically takes place somewhere around volume 5 through 7. I want to say, so seeing these new designs for the cast of RWBY just feels very weird, especially with how the interdimensional travel changed all their weaponry and how they would fight and all that. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't really feel right. And not to mention Blake's outfit from this design just doesn't work. It does not work whatsoever. She looks like a different version of Catwoman if you really want to compare them. And I guess that also is pretty apt considering that, well, she is a cat goddess. But I don't know. Being apt just doesn't really fit with being accurate. And I'm not even sure why they had to change the Team RWBY's design for going into the DC universe when they. But then again, they did change the Justice League's design when they went to RWBY's universe. So how should I complain? How could I complain? Oh yeah. Besides this movie being kind of odd. I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked the movie, but nowadays it just feels like have an egg kind of feeling. And to top it all off, Blake's outfit just doesn't work. Don't get me wrong, the black and purple colors are still there, mind you, especially with some white accents to make it really stand out, but I don't know. It just doesn't really work for me. It kind of looks like a disguise that Cinder would use. Or at least it looks like the one that she used in volume 3, I want to say, when the Beacon Ball happened. Or at least it was during the Beacon Ball. I don't remember. And seeing her outfit go through this huge design change during the crossover, it doesn't fit for me. Like Yang, you could still tell it's Yang, but she looks like a different version of Wonder Woman. Why? Grace, on the other hand, actually looks like an outfit that she would definitely wear in RWBY, and Ruby Rose herself even looks just like her Volume 9 self, but just a bit more DC-fied, I want to say. But even so, you can barely tell that Blake is, well, Blake, unless someone told you that was Blake Belladonna. I don't know. It's just something about this outfit I don't like at all. It kind of clashes with her usual design, and not that the colors themselves don't clash. It's just the design itself I didn't like. I honestly would prefer that they had just kept the ribbon on her head to simulate ears, so that it actually felt like we were watching a RWBY DC crossover. But there's just so much to go off of with this one. Just take my word for it that Blake's DC crossover design was probably one of my least favorite ones. Now we get into a more interesting question. My opinion on the Beacon uniform. So as someone who's watched the series since the beginning, I can actually conclude that I did kind of like the Beacon outfit. This was actually back then when I never really thought about giving any sort of thought to a character's clothing design. I just think that the clothing design is neat and sort of just move on. But the Beacon Academy uniform, honestly, it kind of works. And no, I'm not saying it doesn't work like at all, because it does work in every sense of the way. Looking back on the Beacon uniform, it honestly really works for the school that it goes to. Beacon Academy is supposed to be a very high maintenance school of sorts, and the Beacon Academy outfit just sort of works in that way. Going off to either both the male and female uniforms, they really nailed it when it comes to just being a school. In case you also forgot, this is actually a school of people who are trained to be hunters and huntresses. You know, people who kill big giant kill beasts for the sake of saving the entire world. And when I look at the Beacon uniforms, they do really what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, accentuate how one would go about living in the dorms of this place. And yes, I've seen all versions of the Beacon Academy uniform, from the 3D games to Amity Arena to even Grim Eclipse. And I've seen many cosplays with the uniform too. Mostly the female uniform because that seems to be a more popular one. I hardly see any with the male uniform. And to be honest, if I could change the outfit a little bit, I probably would make it so that the I probably would make it so that the inner shirt would not be different between the two genders, because males seem to have a blue undershirt with it, while females have seem to have a red. Well, I want to say it's sort of a red undershirt. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into clothing design at all, but just thinking about the clothing design of the outfit, I think it'd be pretty cool to see the undershirts all share the same color, as in to share the color with the actual outfit itself. The outfit itself is like sort of a off black, off gray kind of color with golden trims and such, and with the males getting long black pants and the females getting little red skirts. But if I had to, but honestly, if I were to change the outfits in some way, I'd probably make it so all the undershirts would be one consistent color. I think I probably would pick green in some instances because Ozpin himself is sort of wears dark green, so I think it would make more sense since it is his school, or rather his academy. But yeah, that tends to be my opinion on the Beacon uniform. It was cool while it lasted, and I would change a little bit of the design, but other than that, it looks pretty cool. Okay, so while editing this video, I decided to actually go ahead and skip a couple of the questions, namely being 23 and 24, saying the favorite ending credit silhouette and least favorite silhouette. To be completely honest, I liked all of the RWBY silhouettes as they were officially drawn. I've looked at every single one of them, yes, every single one, and I actually kind of like them all. They all are pretty imposing and dynamic, and really make sense for each of the characters that they're based on. So with that, we're just going to skip ahead to number 25. So, my favorite Grimm. That actually is a pretty good question. In fact, I like quite a few of the Grimm designs, from the Mammoths to the Beowulfs to even the Borbatusks. Yes, that is what the boar ones are called. They're called Borbatusks. I actually didn't know this until I did research for this video. But overall, I've seen quite a few different designs for the Grimm, and many variants of the Grimm as well, even in concept art. I think my favorite is probably gonna have to be the Centaurs. Just looking at the Centaurs makes you feel very uneasy and very grossed out, especially with its bug-like appearance. And that probably is true, considering that it is technically based on a centipede, but one that has taken a lot of dosage of radiation and mutations. Yeah, that's kind of the stuff of nightmares now, isn't it? And seeing this thing fight both Ruby and Blake for the first time was probably one of the most eerie moments in the entire series. I was honestly scared crapless when they first saw this thing. I was terrified. And yes, even going as far with the concept art, it's just so disturbing. And yet it's one of my favorites because it's the way it fluctuates that disturbingness that I pretentiously describe as morbid appreciation. And honestly, even I probably couldn't have come up with a better design like this. Like, look at it. You cannot tell me that this thing would be a nice pet to have around the house. This thing looks like it's about to tear your insides out with those side hands, and it's gonna love every single second of it. Yeah, honestly, looking at this concept art, this is how you make an intimidating design. You don't just have to make it overly dramatic or giant, even like that Godzilla-sized freaking Grimm from that one episode. I don't remember which volume it was, but I do remember that it was one of the. I'm pretty sure it was one of the volume 4 or 5 episodes. But even so, I still kind of stick out with the Centaurs. It's so disturbing, like, and the way that its stomach is all bulging as if it's filled with something, because it's filled with a bunch of acid that it can spit at you, and even looking at the headpiece variants of it, yeah, you can kind of tell why this one's my favorite. It actually accentuates how I think a Grimm should be: creepy, but not overly disturbing, and dramatic, but not overly flashy. This is how you make a Grimm design, and I really hope that they bring these guys back in the later volumes. So it comes to this question: why do I like the show? Okay, so I hope you guys don't mind me getting a little bit personal here, but the reason why I like the show is actually a pretty odd story. You see, it was actually back in my old Amino days when I didn't even know that RWBY even existed. To be completely honest, yeah, I literally did not know that the show existed at all. And this was back on the old days on Amino, where if you guys don't know what Amino is, it was basically a community app. And I say was because it still is a community app, but now it's owned by a not so cool group of people that really caused me to not want to be there anymore. So when when I was there, I got invited to another group that I will actually keep omitted for privacy reasons. And there I actually met someone, and this person, well, they were actually the ones that introduced me to RWBY. And as I watched the entire series when it was still on YouTube, from volume 1 all the way to where I could possibly end up in on YouTube. At least where the YouTube ones end, I don't remember when they ended. It probably could have been during volume 9 or 8. I don't remember. But as I watched the series, I grew more and more in love with the characters, and I just happen to like quite a few of them. Some of them more than others, as you can probably notice from my love for Penny, because she is adorable and deserves all the protection in the world, and how much I hate Ironwood because he is an absolute buffoon. but But talking about this from an objective standpoint, I just like RWBY because it's such an influential show. It's accepting, it's loving, it's caring. It even shows the characters going through a lot of emotional trauma. No, not only with just separation from family or the death of loved ones, but even with themselves. And honestly, even in 2025, the fiercest battles are the ones that you fight against yourself. To which, yeah, sounds a bit philosophical and stuff, but can you blame me? Even this year, some people have actually been protesting and fighting to not end certain things. Like, have you ever seen what's been going on recently? Yeah, it's not very good. But aside, but moving that aside and getting back to my love for RWBY, I just really love the series, and seeing as all the characters grow over the course of the years, and just watching them do their thing, and all of them were also voiced very beautifully by the cast of RWBY. I am very happy to know such an amazing show, amazing series, and I really wish that one day I can make a cameo in it somehow. I don't know how, but I kind of want to. And I mean, trust me, everyone wants to make a cameo in RWBY in some way, shape, or form. And even with the clips that they've shown from Volume 9 Beyond, it just, it's just making me more hyped up for Volume 10. I'm not gonna lie, Volume 10 is very hyped up, and I'm really hoping that's gonna be what it will be. But yeah, as Kruby has said, good things come to those who wait. So we just have to be patient while they work on it. That is, if they're working on it. Or, I don't know, I could even do for some more RWBY Chibi. The Chibi RWBY series was really funny. Okay, so now I'm actually going to go ahead and skip over 28, why I dislike the show, because, well, there's really not much about the show that I dislike. In fact, I love every single bit of it in its entirety. I guess there would be a few writing things that I would fix, but that would probably be answered in number 29 here. What would I change about RWBY? And to be completely honest, I probably wouldn't really change anything about the show. It's actually already got a pretty good narrative, and the story is just unfolding even more so as it goes on. And we get to learn even more deeper meanings behind characters and their justifications for what they do and everything that they've been working out to do. And honestly, everything just seems perfectly fine when it comes to RWBY. It makes sense. The show itself is actually pretty easy to get into once you start watching Volume 1, and yeah, while it is slow at the beginning, let's face it, every show is, I actually kind of like the way they introduce all the characters. By showing off Ozpin early, as well as Glinda Goodwitch, and we get to see early looks of Cinder and RWBY, and pretty much everyone there. And even Jean, the guy who forged documentation to get into the academy so that he can learn from the best of the best, became a mainstay, and he has become an absolute. He's pretty much become an absolute Chad in a way that, in a not sort of a memeish way, but in an actual legitimate way, because ever since that one very sad moment of the show, it's just been banger after banger of an episode, and I would not change a single thing about RWBY. I think it's perfect the way it is. But now we answer the question 30, which character would I be? I mean, if it wasn't obvious enough for me, I think honestly I would probably want to be Penny Palandina. Yeah, I know she technically dies at the end, dies near the end of the series. Well, not really near the end of the series currently. Technically, it was one volume ago in volume 8. But even so, I kind of vibe with Penny, and I don't think I would ever be able to rock the dress that she wears. So I probably had to come up with my own design, sort of like a masculine version. But even so, I would totally want to be either Penny, or I could probably be Oscar as well. But then again, I don't think I want to be living in a world where I have two souls in my body, one of an old man, and then there's just me. Because that would be kind of awkward. But yeah, anyways, that's gonna finally do it for this RWBY 30-day challenge. I'm sorry that I skipped a couple of questions here and there, but that's probably because I don't really have a good answer for it, or I can't really explain my answer whatsoever. But I hope you guys enjoyed this final finale for the 3-part series that should have ended a couple years ago, had I not been lazy and caught up with other games and such. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, comment what you think, share this video with your friends, and be sure to subscribe, click the bell, so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason